This is the Inkpulp Podcast. This is the Inkpulp Podcast. Comics, hip hop, life. Cheers, everybody. Welcome to the Inkpulp Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Crystal. Today, I'm giving you all a inside look, a free chapter from Inkpulp Instruction Episode 1. And if you don't know what Inkpulp Instruction is, it is my business I share with my partner who does all the podcast editing, Alan. You may know of him from these intros. We started a business where I have a background in teaching, and I wanted to bring that back into my life, teaching art, but I didn't want to go work for an institution. I wanted to work for myself. So I decided I should make some videos and record videos with all my artist friends, teaching you all how to be better artists. It's that simple. So I've spent the past year building this. I've talked about it. It's nothing new. And it's out and it's started. And by the time this podcast comes out, it should be, I think there'll be 3 episodes out by then. One with me, one with Eric Canetti, one with Jim Mahfood, all of whom you probably know from the show or from their work because they're badass artists. So take a look, take a listen, check it out, then click the link below. Like that shadow falls over my face. Dramatic. Click the link below and check out inkpulpinstruction.com. Sign up for another free lesson and my newsletter, which comes out twice a month. Keeps you abreast of all things Inkpulp, all things Inkpulp Podcast, all things Inkpulp Live, all things Inkpulp Instruction. So much shit. Inkpulp is me and my art business. Inkpulp Instruction, I just explained to you. Inkpulp Podcast, you know because you're watching it right now. Inkpulp Live is a live show I do every week on Instagram and Facebook. It's, again, another outlet for me to demonstrate and teach while you all watch and join in. And it's very interactive, and we talk to each other. It's hella dope. So that's about it, people. Enjoy this. Click the link. Check it out. Become a student of Inkpulp Instruction. Peace. So, I mentioned the theory of when to use thins and thicks with your line variation. So I'm just going to demonstrate very quick on a very simple drawing of a profile of a face. And normally when I ink this way is I do a first pass to get the initial line, the dead weight in, and then I'll build. But you're going to see me, and I'm hoping this is something that's visible. But I am playing with pressure as I go in. So as I come into the drawing, I kind of lean in as I lay down, and then I put my pressure in. And as I know I'm coming to a thin point, I put my pressure up. Now, when you break a line, this is something you have to master in inking, is how to break a line to stop inking, because it's getting to a point where you've pulled it for a while and you can go no further. And you got to learn how to pick up right where that line went off and make it as seamless as possible. But when you're working this way with microns and building the thicknesses, you have some room for error, because when you build a thickness in, you can sort of build that bump out. So what I'm going to do now is kind of lean in as I come close to that line and then pull it out. So it's pretty seamless. I can see, my eyes are so in tune with my inking, I can see a little bit of a small gap there. I doubt you can even see that. but I'll fix that in the thickness. So I'm just doing a pass over here. Okay. And you will become familiar with, if you're new to this, the death grip. And the death grip is how you will hold your tool for a while, and your hand will hurt, and you'll get pains, and then it'll go away as you get confident and get comfortable. So there's just kind of an initial dead weight pass on it. So let's say we have light coming down onto this form from that direction. That's going to let me know where I need to do my shadow. So this forehead area here is kind of hitting the light. So I know as I tuck away from the light, I'm going to get thicker. And I'm going to exaggerate the thicknesses a bit so that you can see. I mean, subtlety is how you probably want to work in the long run. But for instructional purposes, I think exaggerating makes the point really well. So as I come back around this curve, I am tapering into the other line and lifting it up just like we created that initial tapered line, like that. So there you would have some shadow. So now as we're coming down the bridge of the nose into the point that really hits the light, I'm going to build it slightly so that this region is where the highlight would be. And you can even toy with letting a line break entirely so that a highlight would just be seen as an absence of line. And maybe I'll go with some white when we're done to give you that sensation. So now as we come around the bottom of the nose, once again, we're building that shadow. And I just want to get in there. Okay, good. Now we're dealing with the lip, so it's the same sort of thing. The corner of that lip will catch the highlight, and then as we tuck away from the light on the underside of the upper lip, we'll go into shadow again. The bottom lip catching a little bit of light, but as we taper away from it on the underside of that form, we'll get dark again. And I'm going to smooth the transition here a little bit. What you don't want to do and what you want to avoid is fast stops. Areas where the thick just stops and then it's thin. You need a smooth transition. Even if it's a hard corner like this, there should be some element of transition. As we come into the top part of the chin, light is going to hit it. But of course, and here's that little bump from before, so I'm going to start to build that line down here. And what we have is a shadowed form on the underside of the chin. Let me just smooth that transition a little bit. And boom. Now, quick note, you want to use good paper because all that building and stroking of the pen against the surface of the paper, if it's crummy paper, it will start to degenerate the paper and shred it up and pill it up a bit. So I really like to use really high quality paper. I'm using Strathmore 500 series Bristol board. And this is a semi-smooth surface. With my typical brushwork, I use a very rough surface of the same type of board. But like I said, we'll cover that stuff in my next video on rendering and my true technique. This is a very beginner video. So that's essentially what a line with varied weight is and how to use it. So you can see it just takes practice of building. This is the Inkpulp Podcast. This is the Inkpulp Podcast. Comics, hip hop, Life.